We're back for another edition of Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, as always, I appreciate you for making this show a part of your day. The Philadelphia Eagles signing 2 players to the practice squad, also making corresponding roster moves with the practice squad, and releasing 2 players as well. We're going to break all of that down here on the docket, but first, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 100,000 subscribers right here on Eagles Now. I so badly want to get that silver plaque from YouTube at some point during the 2024 season. And when the birds make a move, we dissect it. So subscribe to the channel, largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube. So the 2 signings that Howie Roseman and Philadelphia have made to this practice squad: wide receiver Danny Gray, a former 3rd-round pick by the San Francisco 49ers. More on him in a moment. And then A.J. Woods, a defensive back who played his college football at Pitt. We'll also have some insight on him as well. Philadelphia releasing 2 players who were with Philadelphia as a part of the 90-man roster going into 53-man roster cutdown day. Spent all of preseason and training camp with the Birds, and that's linebacker Brandon Smith, more of a special teamer because he can struggle in coverage. And then Griffin, Hebert, a wide receiver who, when he did have opportunities during the preseason and in training camp, just doesn't seem to be an NFL player at this juncture. Let's talk about Danny Gray here, because this is a pretty intriguing signing for Philadelphia. A former 3rd-round pick, as I mentioned, by the San Francisco 49ers in the 2022 NFL Draft. Started his college career actually at the JUCO level, and then he went to SMU. For those of you who watched the SMU-TCU game back during the 2021 college season, Danny Gray went off in that game. He displayed his speed. Him and Courtland Sutton were unstoppable for the Horned Frogs that afternoon in Fort Worth, Texas. And that really put Danny Gray on the map. And then in the pre-draft process, he was a burner, still is a burner, ran a 4.3 40-yard dash, and that really helped him climb up draft boards because his final year at SMU with the Ponies, he had some good production. Then he runs a 4.3, and the Niners really liked him enough to take him in that 3rd round because they envisioned him becoming a burner, a vertical threat, a player who could take the top off of the defense. And his rookie year got off to a pleasant start in the preseason. Trey Lance hit him with the bomb, and you're thinking that connection could be alive and well for the Niners for years to come. But Danny Gray's professional career has not worked out up to this point. Only 1 career catch for 10 yards with San Francisco. And when you scout him, he can fly. But at the same time, he's small. He's been injured a lot throughout his professional career, and when he was on the field, mostly during training camp, a little bit in the preseason over the last couple of years, when he got hit, he'd go right down. Just not really a physical player. You could kind of compare him to Quez Watkins, but Quez Watkins at least able to have some NFL production at this point of his NFL career. So far, Danny Gray just hasn't had that durability at the NFL level. And going back to his rookie year in the preseason, he actually led the Niners in receiving as a rookie that preseason. 4 catches, a $123 and a touchdown, a bulk of those yards coming off that splash play when Trey Lance was able to hit him on a deep ball. But he's only played 87 snaps in the regular season, and that includes 19 special team snaps. He does have some experience as a punt returner, as a kick returner, but when he's been a kick returner and he's gotten popped, he actually hurt his shoulder, I believe, last year on a kick return and didn't play it all a year ago during the 2023 campaign because he was placed on IR. What's interesting about this is that over the last couple of years since the NFC Championship game, the Eagles and the Niners have become rivals. Both teams, both fan bases, they hate one another. I'm in the middle of all of that. Prior to the 2022 NFC Championship game, these 2 teams had only met once in the NFL playoffs, but the connections continue because now the Niners have signed the Eagles have signed 2 of the Niners' 3rd-round picks from 2022 in Ty Davis-Price and Danny Gray, and they signed Trey Sermon, who was also a 3rd-round pick by the 49ers a couple of years ago. Gray, the 4th wide receiver, added to the practice squad here behind the 5 wide receivers who are on the active roster for Philadelphia. As for A.J. Woods, played his college ball at Pitt. As I noted just moments ago, he was a UDFA, undrafted in the 2024 NFL draft class. He was signed by the Commanders as a UDFA, and then he was a part of their final roster cuts. Last year at Pitt, 12 games and 5 starts. Kind of a smaller player. Pitt listed him at 5'11". NFL listing him as 5'9", so a little bit of a shorter player on the outside at that cornerback position. Let's round out with this. And over the last couple of days in the aftermath of Philadelphia beating the Green Bay Packers, I've talked about how Kellen Moore has had an impact on this offensive system, play designs, play calling, how he's helped maximize Jalen Hurts, how he's put some of these weapons in a position to succeed, and that includes DeVonta Smith. For the first time in his career against the Packers, he played over 50% of his snaps in the slot. And could that elevate and bring the best out of DeVonta Smith, putting him in a position to succeed? Him in the slot, he's done it with Philadelphia, just not a bulk of the time because he's played a lot outside, but last year played in the slot from time to time, but Philadelphia, as part of their offensive scheme, just didn't run a lot of crossers. And Jalen Hurts in general didn't really throw a lot of footballs over the middle of the field. I look at this as kind of a chess move by Kellen Moore by looking at the data that he's received and using DeVonta Smith in a role where they believe he could be successful and feast on opposing defenses. So here's that insight for Smitty's usage. 54.1% of his snaps against Green Bay were out of the slot. Last year, he lined up in the slot 24.3% of the time. So that's a 30% difference from last year to 2024. And I get it, it's a small sample size this year, but still it's somewhat notable and maybe a sign of things to come. The last 2 years, DeVonta Smith ranks 7th in yards per route run from the slot. He just hasn't run a lot of routes out of the slot. And in the pregame, leading into the Packers game, we talked about how we should keep our eyes on DeVonta Smith. He's going to be used as a motion man, going to be used a little bit out of the slot, and that's exactly what Kellen Moore had in store for number 6. And I think this is going to help unlock him. And it's a big reason why A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith are one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL, because you can use them in a variety of ways. So the early returns, I get it, through one game, but also the preseason. And also for Kellen Moore's entire resume. Jalen Hurts is more prepared against the blitz. Kellen Moore ran the most pre-snap motion in a game for Philadelphia over the last few years. The play calls, the play designs, they were really good. He got creative with how to utilize Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. We're still looking for that Eagles RPO game to return, but defenses have really crashed in on Jalen Hurts, not letting him beat them. Maybe that's something that can progress over time, but either way, really like what I'm seeing from the Eagles' new offensive coordinator here in the early portion of the season, and we'll see him continue to expand on that, hopefully, against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 2, Monday Night Football at Lincoln Financial Field. We did a preview for that game earlier today. It's up on the channel, and that video is humming. If you enjoyed today's show and you're still watching here in the end, give me a real one down below. Go Birds. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.